Can't Wait to Learn is a digital personalised learning platform. It has worked in 8 countries now and is aligned to the national curriculum. Can't Wait to Learn is the product of thousands of people working together over the last 10 years to support education in conflict. It supports children's learning through their foundational skills in literacy and numeracy.
I was interested in working with the children affected by conflict for the fact that I have grown up in a war context, having witnessed several wars in Lebanon as a child and now as an adult. As we're filming today, there have been several bombs all over the country, which again means that children are being traumatized, children are being displaced, injured, and killed. One of the most common misconceptions about children living in conflict-affected zones is that their needs are limited to the basic needs, meaning food and shelter. That's of course significant, but the needs go beyond that also to educational and well-being needs. Some may think that children lose interest in education for the fact that they are affected by war, but that's not true because it's education that helps the children to build their resilience and to build hope for the future. Programs like Can't Wait to Learn can hugely contribute to building children's resilience, and that's by providing children in conflict-affected areas by a sense of normalcy, by building their essential skills and providing stability.
I had the opportunity to start with War Child Alliance and indeed to start up a research and development department, but also doing research in education and child protection. And also it provides an opportunity to bridge the gap that often exists between academia and practice by having a research department within an organization such as War Child Alliance. So that research is informed by the questions that are really come up from our practice, from really our colleagues and our programs in the settings where we work, but also vice versa. So you're making that interplay and that translation much shorter by having it in-house. We're really wanting to improve the well-being of children affected by armed conflict. And education is a very important part of that. We've had multiple studies conducted over the years, and essentially culminating in the research we did in Uganda recently, which is a cluster randomized controlled trial to evaluate the effectiveness of Can't Wait to Learn. And essentially it means that we had 30 schools and about 1,500 children that were randomly divided over a group that received Can't Wait to Learn and a group that did not receive a Can't Wait to Learn. And we compared the educational outcomes before and after 2 terms. And we found that the group that received Can't Wait to Learn had significantly better literacy results, had significantly better numeracy outcomes. But also we found some other interesting results. We found that girls actually really benefited even more than boys from Can't Wait to Learn. War Child Alliance has really embraced research as a tool, as a vehicle to improve our services, and I find that important but also courageous for an organization to do.
I just fundamentally believe that we should be focusing on evidence-based education provision, and Can't Wait to Learn provides that. It's an organisation and a platform that has systematically engaged with evidence, both research, qualitative and quantitative, because we should be working to ensure that what we're doing is having a serious impact and supporting children's learning. There are lots of challenges to scaling education technology or digital personalised learning in humanitarian contexts. Every context is different, and Can't Wait to Learn has worked really hard to take that seriously.
Implementing technological component in low resource settings adds an extra layer of challenges. For instance, in some contexts where we implement Can't Wait to Learn, there's limited access to devices, limited access to internet, or even limited access to electrical power. What we did is that in most of the contexts, we provided Can't Wait to Learn through an offline distribution where the games were preloaded on tablets. In Africa region, we support most of the centers where Can't Wait to Learn is implemented with solar panels. This doesn't only serve to charge the tablets, but also for other usages within the community.
For years, people have looked at education technology as something nice to have on top, something fluffy, shiny. And Can't Wait to Learn, and others in the sector, have taken a really serious approach. And with recognition from the Adan Prize Foundation, it validates that that is a good endeavour.
Everything with Can't Wait to Learn, it begins with the children. And in Sudan at the time, and still today, there's so many out-of-school children. And there's so many out-of-school children that would never have a chance to go to school. And if you believe in leaving no child behind, which you do, then you have to think of what could you do. There were some Sudanese partners of ours believed that with using technology, you'd actually be able to take learning to the villages. One of the great things about Can't Wait to Learn is we've always been able to bring a lot of partners on board. They say it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a system to scale a program. So you need the ministries on board, you need the donors on board, you need the experts on board, you need the children on board, you need the caregivers on board. So you kind of need everybody on board.
We need to actively engage with communities, talk about the technology itself, and make sure that it is understood, not as a threat, but an opportunity. Teachers are critical to education, and technology in education is in no way a replacement for teachers. It's a complement. It should make teachers' lives easier.
Teachers played a major role in providing feedback when it comes to the content, to the language, and to how appropriate the content and the design to the context we're working in. Also with community actors, they have supported us in introducing Can't Wait to Learn to caregivers and to the community and making it accepted. Can't Wait to Learn has been co-created through a highly collaborative process that included children, teachers, caregivers, and the community actors. Actually, children were the center of the whole process. They are the one who shaped how the game looks like. They are the ones who shaped the design of the game in collaboration with the local artists who brought this educational content into reality.
What I like about this project is that War Child has been going to different places with the kids with different cultures. The illustrations that we were showing the kids were based on what we think they might like, but they come from different cultures and they're very diverse. It was nice to see how they get to connect with them, and also with their illustrations they gave us ideas of things that we didn't think of. This is how we implemented that in our illustrations later on, and it's helping us move forward with what they would like.
Helping them and then giving me feedback is something that I've never done before, and I find this very refreshing because kids have a very different point of view of how they view the world, and sometimes we tend to overlook things that would be important to them, or the things that they would highlight, we see them as not as important.
Every child in the world has a right to an education. When a child learns to read, and they learn something they're unlikely ever to forget, and it will change options for them, give them more agency in their lives. Good education practice should be created through shared understanding, shared engagement, partnership really, and you create demand for good practice by demonstrating what good practice is, but also making sure you know how encouraging it to be as simple a form of engagement as possible.